and I highly recommend anyone watch this, do this. I realized, now that my life is really building, now that I have Elle, now that we're building something very special, and I have a handful of other people that are very close to me, that they're working with us, their clients or just really close friends or mentors. There's this little circle of people that are really, really good. But then there's dozens, if not over 100 other relationships that are just kind of in the ether, pretty close, but not really there anymore. And I'm like, what happens if I release all obligation around needing to be a certain way for this person, needing to check in on them, needing to answer their calls every time they call, whether just to talk about their life or oftentimes how their life isn't going as well as they'd like it to be, oftentimes complaining, or even if they're very, and that was the case for many of them, but there's also quite a few that are just great people, but just no longer really feel aligned. I realized all these different interactions I would partake in. I'm like, wait, the far, far majority of these, I'm leading. I'm the first to engage. I'm proactively starting these conversations, starting these events, these experiences, whatever it is. I'm like, what if I just ran an experiment for the next, I think I did it for about 6 months, where I was like, all these people that are kind of floating out in the ether and aren't the small circle of people that are really aligned with what I'm doing now, and together we're all evolving in a very similar but different but similar direction. What if all these other people, I just don't ask them to hang out anymore?
Right.
I just don't send them a check-in text. I just don't send them a birthday text. It's nothing personal. It's literally just a text message. What would happen if I just let it go? The results to that were shocking. Of all those people, let's call them a few dozen hanging around in the ether, I did not hear, I still have not heard from 95% of those people.
Wow.
95%. The other 5%, a few of them noticed I wasn't doing it. I'm like, hey man, we'd love to stay in touch. This and that. Or they got actually angry that I was not calling them. And this is another section of that. There's a certain group of people that will not text me first, especially family members, but they will tell other family members to let me know that they miss me or that they're concerned about me because they haven't heard from me in a while.
Right.
So there's a lot of indirectness going on. Mm-hmm. So in that 95% that I just talked about, a lot of them I think just faded away, like we just talked about. Naturally, no problem. There's no bad blood. Just because they're no longer speaking with someone doesn't mean there's bad blood. But there's also a group of people where you feel this energy around. It's just not good. And there's that 2% that kind of like, hey, what's going on, man? And either they oftentimes think you're going through something, and depending on where they are in life, they may think, oh, they're not wanting to talk to me anymore because I'm not good enough for them. Either they take it on as their own thing, or they direct it completely at you. Neither are necessarily wrong or right. It's just a way of them coping with the reality that they don't yet fully understand. But for those group of people, that's when these conversations need to be had.
Right.
And so back to, before we get into that, because which is going to be very, very important, it's important to note that simply when I just let go and dropped all expectation and obligation around texting back, around seeing them when I'm in town, all these different things, the far majority of them just fell off.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been initiated this whole time, which isn't a bad thing, but it's like unique. That's funny. Because if someone really, really wanted to be in your life, wouldn't they just text you? Wouldn't they just do the bare minimum to do so?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, I realize they wouldn't do that because I was filling a hole for them. I was always a friend that was in a good mood, that was doing things, that was going places. I'd oftentimes be the friend that they talk about to other friends. And they feel this weird tension where they don't feel like they can initiate.
Right.
It's like if you were, and again, I don't feel like I'm this yet, but you're friends with someone who's a little famous, and you're a little bit more conscious before you text them, if you do it all, and you're very cognizant of their time. Like, oh, I don't know. I had a lot of that. And some people reacted in many different ways from that. Some were very respectful and loving, and some were like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you in my life anymore? And so simply just choosing to let go and just release all obligation has been the biggest difference maker when it comes to me freeing up my own time, space, and energy to allow us to build these incredible things we're building. And also make sure the relationships I do pour into are ones that are super aligned, that are reciprocal when it comes to energy, and that I feel good every single time I'm on the phone with them or seeing them in person.